Welcome to a new video with the electric trucker and the Mercedes eActros 600. This week we drive through France back to Germany and do a lot of tricky local deliveries with the electric forklift. We continue right where we left off last time in France. I had planned to drive into this truck park, but on Saturday evening it was completely full, so all the truck drivers got creative and parked out front on this open lot. That's where I've been spending the last 2.5 days as well. I've had the truck fully air-conditioned the whole time, because it's been between 30 and 40 degrees. I'll tell you later how much energy that used. Now I'm doing a quick departure check, and then we'll head north. This week is going to be more relaxed because last week I was right at the absolute limit of my weekly driving hours. You're allowed a maximum of 56 hours per week, which is a lot. That's 6 full days on the road. But there's also the double week limit, meaning that when you combine this week with the previous week or the next week, you can drive a maximum of 90 hours. That's meant to balance things out, so that if one week is busy, the following one gives you some recovery time. Since I drove almost 55 hours last week, I can only do 35 hours this week. I'll be taking the exact same route back that I took coming here, keeping it as simple as possible. There are a few Milans charging parks right along the way, and tonight I'll also stay overnight at one of them. A quick charging stop at Milans. I've actually been here once before in the middle of the night for a short charge. It's a nice charging park, but the sanitary facilities have no water. The coffee machine is also out of order. It's probably still brand new, but let's hope they fix it soon. What's a bit more annoying is that we're only getting 308 kilowatts. It started strong, but the cable was quite hot, so I switched over to the right side. Since the power drop happened on both sides, I'm guessing it's the charger itself, the load management, or the overall grid connection. I'll charge for exactly 45 minutes and make another stop later, but even 300 kilowatts is good enough for now, and the battery wasn't anywhere near empty. The battery is full again, really impressive. It's 560 kilometers to go and the truck shows 670 kilometers of range, so I should actually make it without charging. That makes things interesting. You either optimize for time or for cost. Today, I'm not in a rush, so arriving an hour earlier or later doesn't matter. I can make up for it by shortening my rest break if needed. So I'm going for cost optimization. I activated range mode and I'm driving at 82 kilometers per hour to save some energy and money. I'll still stop to check out the charging station, but I'll most likely not plug in. Tickets. I'm taking another rest break, otherwise I wouldn't make it to my destination within today's 10-hour driving limit, and I don't need to charge. The truck is running at under 0.8 kilowatt hours per kilometer, and I still have more than 50% battery left, so I'll just take a normal break. This spot is interesting. It's part of Engie's truck charging corridor between Paris and Lyon, which was in the news a few weeks ago. For some reason, they've installed 2 different charger types. On one side, an Alpatronic fast charger, and on the other, an EV box unit. Maybe they're testing 2 hardware options. The cables are extremely long, which is nice for flexibility, but it also means a truck could drive over them and they would probably break right away. Another feature is that you can reserve this charger via their website. You choose the station, select a time slot, enter details, confirm booking, and then before your slot, the barrier will lower so nobody else can park there. You'd then enter a code on the keypad to raise it again. The idea is neat, but mixing ad hoc charging with reservations often creates complications and never worked with normal EVs. Pricing here is also unusual. Ad hoc payment with a credit or bank card is actually cheaper than using most roaming platforms. It's 70 cents with Charge Now, 56 cents with Octopus Electroverse, but the ad hoc price is even lower. At Ionity, I pay 39 cents net, but that's with a contract and a charging card. I took a closer look, and the pricing on the charger is at least as important as the hardware itself. It says 60 cents, and I suspect they didn't manage to integrate an option in the interface to choose between slow or fast charging, so they simply installed 2 separate units instead. That would be pretty funny, but it would at least explain it. Either they test slow charging versus fast charging, or they're testing 2 different hardware setups. You might think this week will be rather uneventful, but it's actually going to get pretty interesting. I'm getting a trailer brought to me near Frankfurt with an electric forklift mounted on the back. I'll have several delivery stops in Bavaria, and because it's my home region, I can spend the weekend at home. There is one important delivery in the trailer, but it's only a partial load, so the rest of the trailer is filled with massive garden houses for different customers. I had originally planned to be in Leer this weekend for a half marathon, but I can't make it now. It's not a big deal. The entry fee was just a few euros, not like Berlin or New York. Better to cancel and avoid driving empty trailers just so I can run around a lake. I've never transported these garden houses before. They are delivered to private customers who assemble them themselves, and sometimes you can't get to the delivery spot with the truck, so it should be a little adventure. Now I'll just keep driving and figure out where to meet for the trailer handover. I do need to tidy up the trailer. My bike is still in there from yesterday when I rode it to go shopping. I'll just put it back up on the upper bed and it'll be fine. I'm back at Mylance. The very first charging station wouldn't start. Both plugs showed charging plug damaged, so I had to move over. I ended up at the same spot I used last time, and that one works fine. I've set the charging limit to 100 kilowatts, and it actually gives a sound confirmation. Pretty cool. I've never seen that before. It plays a positive sound when the charging session starts, and a different one if it stops or ends. No need to constantly check the display. Such a small but nice feature. I'm taking my rest break here and can shower here as well. The place is still not fully operational yet. There's no toilet paper or trash bins, but I'm sure they'll add that later. Still, you can already drive through all of France without issues. A wonderful good morning. I feel like today is going to be a good day. I left just before 5 and now have a 6-hour drive ahead. I'm heading to Fulda to pick up the trailer. I don't need to be exactly on time, because they still have some unloading to do there first. There's a charging spot in Mainz on the route, and when I was there before, the charging performance wasn't great, so I'm curious to see if it's improved. But I'd rather try a place I haven't been yet. It's a 7-minute detour, but it's worth it. I'm now north of Mannheim. There's an Aral Pulse location directly off the highway with 2 charging bays, plenty of space, and it charges reliably at 300 kilowatts. The only catch is the way you get in. If you wanted to charge on the left side, you actually can't drive in that way. If a truck with its charging port on the left wanted to use it, they'd have to back in. I think the station operators have to work with the space they've got. Here, there's almost no parking, so they had to improvise. This is super relaxed driving with cruise control set to 82 kilometers per hour and the PPC letting the truck coast. Before my break, the battery wasn't even low, and now it's back to 100%. It's showing 740 kilometers of range, which is perfect. And let me tell you about the aircon consumption during my stay in France. I spent 2.5 days at that rest area. 60 hours parked outside with no roof in 30 to 38 degrees Celsius heat. It was brutal. I honestly felt bad for the other drivers sweating with the windows open or keeping their diesel engines running, burning fuel and producing emissions, but I get it. Better than getting a heat stroke. I used the cab's parking air conditioner almost the entire time. It ran very reliably, only turned off once. And in those 2.5 days, it only used 16% of the battery. That means I arrived with 100% and still had 84% on Tuesday morning. If 1% equals 6 kilowatt hours, 16% is 96 kilowatt hours total. Spread over 60 hours, that's just 1.6 kilowatts of continuous draw. That's actually fantastic under those extreme conditions. I've never seen such an efficient AC. Nobody can tell me that I'll run out of battery sitting in traffic with the AC on. For my Iveco, its biggest weakness is the parking AC. It's inefficient because it cools the battery too, keeps the water pumps running, is noisy, and uses a lot of energy. In extreme heat or cold, it can drain over 50% of the battery, which is horrible financially. It would be even cheaper to get a hotel. The eActros, though, stayed well within reason, and I'm genuinely impressed by how little energy it used. It's exactly noon and we swapped trailers. Now I've got a Schmitz Megaliner attached. It's fully loaded, weighing around 15 tons. It's a trailer without storage compartments, so I had to put my bike in the cabin. And on the back is the electric forklift, with a 17 kilowatt hour battery capacity. I had another rest break in Fulda and had a coffee with Nano. I've got a lot of delivery stops coming up, so tomorrow and the day after will be interesting. I need to get near Regensburg, and I've still got 4 hours of driving time today, then my 10-hour limit is reached. I'm hoping to find a good truck stop where I can charge the battery, so I'm set for tomorrow. Collecting wooden houses in the north of Germany, sorting them at the depot, and then loading the trucks over the weekend before they head out to all over Germany is a specialty at Nano Janssen. Sunday evening, they all head out across the country, each driver with their own region to deliver to. I've already brought wooden houses to the depot before, so I've done the first leg of this chain, and now I'm doing the final deliveries. The trailer is older and well used. Including the forklift, we're at 17 meters total length. The forklift battery is at 92%, but lowering loads is a lot less work for the hydraulics than lifting them. This is another perfect example of how sometimes the best plans don't work out. I had planned to drive well past Regensburg today, but the driving time isn't enough because I got stuck in traffic between Würzburg and Nuremberg. Imagine if that charging station had been reserved for me and I never showed up. Technically, the hauler should have to pay for the lost revenue because other transport companies could have reserved and charged there. Logistics are just far too unpredictable, so the ability to decide where to charge at the last moment is going to be way more important in the future. I'm at Ionity topping up the battery. I've got plenty of time since my first appointment tomorrow isn't until 7 in the morning, so I can take a long rest. The eActros does a lot of things really well, but there are also a few things they really messed up. Here's a good example. Ionity isn't very busy right now, but earlier I wanted to use the charger on the far left and you simply can't. The charging port on the truck is so far back that even if you pull the cable all the way, and even if you park at an angle, you still can't plug it in. That's a total no-go in this transition period where there are not enough truck charging parks. Luckily, one of the car owners recognized me and kindly moved his car so I could charge. I managed to park just right at the edge and plug in. Still, it's pretty frustrating. Every other truck I've driven so far could charge at every station without issue. But with the eActros, that's just not the case, and it's annoying. And here's the reason why we don't have to pay at this rest stop. Someone drove straight into the exit at full speed, and the whole terminal has been shut down ever since. He did it for the team. The day's off to a great start. I found my drop-off location, and my forklift is already waiting, but I can't fit the forks in properly to lift the load. I've got to see if they can help me out with that. We got it done. And there's the package. They unloaded it for me with a wheel loader, which was really nice of them. Next stop is Ingolstadt. That's about 1.5 hours of nice country roads with a bit of highway. I'm already sweating, but it's a lot of fun to do something more demanding than just highway driving. I've also never driven a forklift with this trailer before. It's a bit different from the Krone trailers, but not rocket science. That was a commercial delivery to a construction site, but now come all the private customers. I'm glad they were able to help me with the unloading. You just have to ask for help when you're stuck in life. You don't have to do everything on your own. But if I had been on my own, I think the trick would be to drive the forks in just a little, lift it up just enough, then wedge in some bits of wood, and slowly work your way up until you have enough height to get the forks fully in. The trailer is still quite full, so I think we're going to have plenty of interesting situations in the next days. I'm finished with the second customer. I was able to park close and unload with the forklift. We couldn't get it onto the property, but technically we only have to deliver to the curb anyway. I'm done for today, but I just called the next customer and he has no problem with me delivering earlier, so I can still get a bit more done today. I'm unloaded, and that sound you're hearing is not from the truck. I thought so at first, but it's actually a house nearby. Now I just have to figure out how to get out of here. Even though this trailer is a bit older, you can still lower the lift axle at the push of a button. That gives you a better turning radius. This delivery spot was super tight. There were 2 packages left, and I set them down exactly where the customer wanted them, sideways onto his property. You have to get the hang of it first because you can turn the wheels at the front and drive in sideways. I was a bit unsure, but it worked really well. You can get into all sorts of tight spots and deliver even in the smallest corners. And for this curve, you can lower the lift axle so the trailer's pivot point is further forward. Honestly, when the equipment is as good as on this eActros, it just makes everything easier. The mirrors steer with you even when reversing, which the DAF didn't do. It only helped when going forward. Reversing with the DAF was the same old problem of losing sight of the trailer. That's not an issue here, which is pretty amazing. The customer was super friendly, excited to start building his garden house. I was a day early, but he was super happy about it too. He even knew a bit about e-mobility and asked about battery capacity and public charging prices, which, as he correctly pointed out, are still too high for EVs. But my points about range, charging costs, and the road toll exemption until probably 2031 were new to him, and he understood why driving electric trucks makes sense. And that's how you make change, one conversation at a time. He'll probably tell his friends that a company from northern Germany brought his garden house with an electric truck. That's how change happens in the world, not overnight, but slowly, by building a critical mass of people who believe in it. And the way you get there is by doing, not just talking. I'm parked in a narrow street. I had to stop right in the intersection because there's no other way. You can still see the remaining wooden houses inside the trailer. I just unloaded a huge garden house, put the rest back on the trailer, and positioned it perfectly right up against the curb. You couldn't have gotten it any closer. This is only possible because you can turn the wheels of the forklift at the front, which really lets you get into almost anywhere. At first I made the mistake of trying to steer normally, but that doesn't work. You have to keep the back wheel fully turned. and then steer with the front wheels. Right now it's pretty quiet, but a moment ago, there were cars all around me. I'm going to clean up quickly and get out of here before they come back. My day's done. It was actually pretty exhausting, but at least everything went well. Today, we're 4 unloading stops, so tomorrow there won't be as much to do. I parked the truck about an hour and a half ago, and it's already fully charged. The charging station here still hasn't been repaired. It was struggling a bit. And I made it through the whole day without charging. I think I could even have done tomorrow's whole run with the remaining charge. I topped up again yesterday, and I was actually able to spend the night at the gas station because just as I was about to head out, someone pulled out and I grabbed the spot. That meant a quiet, relaxed night. But as you can see, the weather's not nice today, and the worst thing you can have for forklift unloading. But what can you do? There's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothes. I don't exactly have the best gear for this kind of weather, but I'll manage. I was in a small village, and the pallet delivery worked out. But in this stressful local delivery routine, everything has to work. But right now, I can't even turn on the lights in this truck. It just doesn't work. The system here is completely broken. Wi-Fi is off, Bluetooth is off, nothing is connected, and it's saying Wi-Fi disabled, please enable and restart wireless projection. And why in English and not German? Luckily, there's an emergency button for the lights. But lowering the lift axle also doesn't work. I hope I don't have to stop and restart the truck.
Ja, alles gut. Gut, dann kommen wir gleich nochmal, gell?
I managed to back out of the residential area, and the next delivery is just around the corner, only about 20 minutes away. It's a farm with lots of space, which is great. And the lady from this delivery also noticed the electric truck and forklift. As I said, this is the best way to make people understand that driving electric just works. We're going a bit off-road with the truck. The delivery wasn't here, but at the house next door, so I had to unload on the street. Usually there is no traffic on these streets, but the moment you start unloading, everyone shows up. On the way to the highway, I came across an Aral gas station with a few truck parking spots in the back, so I could take my lunch break there. There are also 2 truck charging spots here. Complete coincidence. I didn't even plan for it because I don't need to charge. With these local delivery runs, the battery lasts 2 days even if you drive fast on country roads. Now it's fully charged again, which will make the rest of the week less stressful. Now I'm going for a short walk with the dog. I've already eaten lunch, then I'll grab a coffee, finish the last delivery, and the week will be done. Last delivery of the day, I just took out a garden shed, but there were 2 pallets on top, which makes it super tricky. Garden sheds are usually half a trailer wide, but these things were stacked on top. I obviously can't just put them back on top, so I had to set up a little temporary logistics area, maneuver around, shuffle things, and rearrange. I've already attached the forklift, but I'll show you a little trick. This is the rod for opening and closing the trailer roof. I need to pull out the supports for the forklift from below, and usually I'd crouch down and pull them out with my foot. But using this rod makes it way easier. Here you have the light connection that you plug in. Then there are these chains for double and triple securing so nothing can fall off. Pretty cool with a quick release mechanism. Now everything is tightly secured, the lights work, and the forklift is attached. My week's work is done. Now the only question is how to get out of here, because it's such a tiny residential area. The truck has such buttery smooth steering. I don't even know if I've mentioned it before, but you can steer it with just one finger. Totally different from other trucks. That's really important when you're doing a lot of maneuvering. And that's it. That was the last challenge. I'm back in Mühldorf with plenty of charge in the battery. I parked the trailer in the industrial area back there, and the forklift isn't attached because it needs to be recharged. It held up really well, and there's still 31% charge left. Here is a public AC charger at a local organic store, so I'm charging it here. But I'm not leaving it over the weekend. I'll come back later and reposition it. But this looks so cool. This is an adapter, so if you're using one of these, make sure it has two switches. One to indicate the car is connected, and the second to request charging. With the cheap ones from Amazon that only have one switch, the cable can get stuck because the station can't tell it's no longer connected, so you can't unlock it. These switches are pricey, but totally worth it. Of course, I only charge like this because I can't charge it directly from the truck, but as a temporary solution, it's clever and looks funny. I jogged over to the industrial area and the forklift is still here and fully charged. We've charged 14.6 kilowatt hours. It's a bit risky because someone could steal the plug. For anyone wondering, it's a Type 1 plug, but the forklift can't communicate with charging stations. It's just an adapter to a standard Schuko socket. There are no communication pins, which is why you need that extra adapter to tell the station, please charge or don't charge. And now everything is set up for next week. I would have liked to run this half marathon over the weekend, but it's not a big deal. Yesterday was my mom's birthday, so surprising her with a visit was even better. It really comes down to perspective. If you're wondering whether the glass is half full or half empty, maybe your glass is just way too big. Get a smaller glass, and it's always full. Next week, I have a few more deliveries, and then there's the truck Grand Prix I'm going to check out. If you want to see the video earlier, you can get early access with a YouTube membership. I wish you all a great rest of the day, and I'll see you next week. Ciao.